Hi, it's me Jazzy. I'm back with another tech related video, and today it's part one in the restoration of a Solartron multimeter. I bought recently from eBay a couple of 7150s. This is a very accurate bench multimeter. This one's not in working order. This is a 7150. I've also got a 7150 plus, which is the one that I'd like to get up and running. This one has an extra digit and a couple of extra functions. So this one has some issues with its keypad. It's got some bits and bobs missing. We might be able to use some parts from the other unit to get this one up and running. This is the better spec of the two, so if I can, I'd like to get this one working, but I think it's going to need quite a bit of work. Let's get both of these over on the bench. Now, these are very good, very accurate meters, and back in the day they were excellent. Now I've got two models here. I've got a 7150 and a 7150 plus. So this is actually a slightly better spec than this one, and around the back it's got a few extra goodies as well. We've got some external trigger and stuff we can play around with. Other than that, it's much the same. I think the input filter is blown on this one, but not on this one. This is the one I'm hoping to revive, so my plan is to get them both apart. Let's see what the differences are. First of all, let's have a look in the one that I want to restore. It has a little note handwritten on the top here which says FR switch, leakage and arcing. Well, that's never good. FR switch, that's the front rear switch. This one doesn't have that option. So we might have to try and repair that somehow. We haven't got a spares one we can take. Right, I think let's get this one apart and let's have a look. Is it actually screwed together? Oh, that should save me some time. Doesn't even have any screws in it. These were bought just for parts, spares and repairs. I'm under no illusion that these are working, but we can make them work. It just does not want to let go, does it? Right. We are going to have to get this out because we're going to have to replace this keypad here. Okay, they came off from the bottom. Fair enough. Now it's going to be connected. Yeah, it's connected to the transformer. Now on this board, I'm not initially seeing any major problems. A couple of axial capacitors, which don't look too bad. Well, they don't look bulged. They'll have to be checked, obviously. We've got a lot of logic and stuff going on in here. A couple of caps here. Now these axials, they do look like they've been changed. This is the problem switch. This is the one it says is arcing, but look what happens when you press it. It's not actually attached. Okay, so that's one problem we got, is this switch, which switches between the front and rear inputs. So that's got to be dealt with. Other than that, this board looks visually okay. So before I power this unit up in any way at all, I am going to replace the mains input filter, as they have a habit of letting go. One thing I will note is these look like they've been replaced, these axials. So that might save me the bother of having to do that. I know checking in circuit is not always the best thing to do, but it'll give me an idea. Look, if we're unsure, we can always lift a leg. It's easier with axials. Right, should be 1000 microfarads, this one. Not bad. The ESR's looking good on it. I mean, these do look like they've been replaced, but I don't know how long ago that would have been. Right, this should be 2200 microfarads. Not bad, a little under. ESR's good. All right. There's hope for reforming these caps then. They look a lot newer than the rest of the board. So this should be 470. We're getting 397. Okay. ESR's all right. So I need to charge up my LCR meter as well. Now, I did check the ones on the other board as well, but I'll spare you sitting there watching me going through each one individually. Suffice to say, they're all pretty similar. Not too far off from where they should be, so I reckon we'll be all right with these. I mean, that's just a quick test, but there's nothing to indicate that there's going to be any major problems there. Let's open up the other one. We can have a bit of a comparison. This one is also not actually screwed together, which is a shame because I was planning on using the screws out of this to secure the other one. I'm sure I've got some sort of suitable screws. Right, here we go. What have we got in this one? Well, this is interesting. For a start, there's a lot more capacitors than there was in that other one. These look all original. Let me grab the other one so we can do a side-by-side comparison, shall we? Okay, so this is the 7150 plus, this is the 7150. This board is not the same at all. Oh, okay, there's a lot more differences than I thought there would be. That's interesting, isn't it? The layout's different. Yeah, see, this board's got a smattering of tantalums, but none on this board. So here's the comparison then of the bottom boards, which actually do look comparable. Okay, obviously got different EPROMs because different firmware. This is the one that's got the problem with the front back switch. No such switch in this one, of course, doesn't have that facility. Okay, so I've got a plan of action then. I'm going to concentrate on the 7150 plus, which is the one that I was hoping to get up and running. As it's had capacitor replacements, it looks like it's a good candidate. As long as we haven't got any further problems on this board or any problems with relays or anything, then we might be okay. A further reason for replacing this filter unit is the live is not even properly attached. It's kind of a bit corroded and crumbled and seems to have broken away from the back of the filter unit. We know we've got a problem with this, so I've put a piece of paper under it just for now. We know we've got a problem with the switch because apparently it was arcing, but is that a fault with the switch itself? It could be. We've got some marks on the switch here. I don't know if that's a burn mark or is that just flux where somebody's worked on it? Or is it just arcing on the board because it's broken free from its mountings? So what I'd like to do is replace this so it's safe to power up. I'm going to have to do a bit of a modification on this. Now some people may use the word bodge. I like the word creativity. What is stopping that? Ah, we've got an earth. Haha, what on earth is stopping it? I've actually got myself a decent set of nut spinners now. I actually get some second-hand ones, which are actually really good quality. Worth having decent tools. Solartron built them well. So well, they don't want to come apart. There we go. We got it. Don't lose the washer. I'm very good at losing washers, so I'm going to put that there. This is the great thing with videoing everything is you've always got a record of how things go back. Now, we got two more. I don't think I need to take the bottom one off. I just need this one off. Yes, so I can release this. Hooray. Nice. The grand plan is going to be to completely remove this section and replace it with a bog standard unit like this. So the idea being that will just sit there. So we're literally just going to cut the end bit off. You can get these complete units, but they're a bit pricey at £30 to £40 each when I can get the filter alone for about a tenner. These units are expensive because they've got the voltage selector in them. This is a Schaffner, so it's getting quite old. This is a more modern replacement version, but it'll do the same job. Now, all we've got to do is get these off of here. There we go. Our live, which was actually snapped off already, so one of many problems on this. So again, I'm just going to cut this. There we go. That is now free. So to make this easier to work on, I'm going to disconnect all of these. So what we've got to remember is where they go. Right, I'm going to just write something meaningful on these. So that's our live and that's the neutral. Then I'm just going to number these. I can always refer back to my video to know where they went. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, kinda. That doesn't look like an 8 at all. Can't even write the number 8. Now, this is where it's going to get a bit messy, because to replace the whole block is quite expensive, and there's really nothing wrong with this part. Set to 240. There's one fuse. That's all right. Yeah, fuses are okay. That's good. All right, so we're going to have to get tough with this now. Now, I don't have many vices in life, but this is one of them. So, literally, I'm going to cut the end off. Yep, I know what you're thinking. There's definitely better ways. Well, actually, I've seen a couple of people on blogs that have literally done this, because these are quite pricey to get the whole unit, whereas I can buy just the filter unit for about a tenner. As always, on a budget. All we've got to do is cut this off here and make a neat job of it. Should be easy, right? Well, there we go. That's gone halfway across the floor now. Well, we don't need that bit, so we're not worried about that. Right, did I cut it straight? No, not really. Well, that doesn't surprise me. That's okay. It doesn't matter. As long as the new bit fits in there, we'll clean all this up before we put it back in. This is the one that's no good, so this is going to go. This is never a good sign. I'm going to do an episode on this, because people do ask me why I change these, why I make such a thing of it. If you've never had one of these go on you, then you're quite lucky, because it's unpleasant. There is quite a lot of smoke and quite a lot of odour that lasts for weeks. So it's old, it's nasty, it's going. We're going to put a nice new one in. Right, okay, so I've had a bit of a clean up, and yeah, I haven't cut it amazingly straight, but the idea is, rather than having this assemblage, I'm going to have something resembling this, which does mean I might need to modify this slightly to trim it off, or I might need to modify the edge of the case. I've seen one where they've just dremeled out a little bit of the edge of the case to fit this in. So let's see if it actually fits first. The grand plan is going to be to possibly just route out a little bit of the case there with my Dremel. First things first, before we get too carried away, with this installed back in, is this gonna fit? Kinda. I think the problem is that lip at the bottom of the case there. Okay, so with a little bit of cutting, filing, sanding, I've now got like a nice little recess on there, nice little edge, which means that will slot into there. That's quite pleasing, quite happy with that. And I've sanded a little tiny bit off the bottom. It didn't need much off, just a little bit. And I've had to sand a little bit there off the ridge of the case. Now, sanding is not my strong point, so don't look too closely at the sanding. Sanding is not something that I do very well. What I am very pleased about is how well that fits into there. That looks nice. That looks almost stock. So what I need to do now is drill a hole there and a hole there, so I can secure that with a couple of self-tappers. Then I've got to solder the wires back on there and put all these connectors back in the right place. Right, let's just mark where I want these holes. One thing we've got to make sure we haven't got any metal filings under here, so we're going to have to lift the board up and give it a clean out. I think we're actually all right. I know there are some viewers out there who will say it's sacrilege to be sanding and drilling into a Solartron multimeter, but I'm a practical person. I don't have a big budget for the channel, so I have to economise where I can, and this is a great way of economising. And to be honest, once it's in and the meter's powered up and it's facing me, who's going to see the back of it? Neutral is this one. That's all right. And just got to get the earth tag back under there. Lovely. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, so that can now go back in. Just double checking, live there, neutral there, earth there. We're good, we're good. So now that can go in. We've got to get these earth tabs in the right place. So we've got this one to go in, then we've got this one, and then we've got the one from the transformer to go in. So, and that one. I'm very good at losing washers. That's why I have so many spare ones. See, I don't want to do too much dismantling until I know what works on this. I mean, I suspect it's going to have to come apart further, but we won't know until we power it up. Right, so that's good. These are quite easy, and it's quite obvious that the live goes at the top anyway. So we're good there with those two. Now we've got to get the rest of them in. Let's get this in. 1 and 2. It's going to go there, there. Right, here's 3, 4 and 5. Right, so let's get 5 in first. And work my way up. Right, there's 4. And 3. So we're good. I'm pretty happy that I've got all those in correctly. We're going to find out. Now, I've got 2 little self-tapping screws that I selected carefully. Well, there you go. It's all right. It's going nowhere. It does the job, and it was a lot cheaper than buying the whole thing. So what I want to do is try and get the front panel off so I can change that keypad for one that's got all the keys on it. That would be nice. This front panel is apparently very static sensitive, so I do have my anti-static wristband on. This one's a bit fiddly down here. It looks to me like that's not going to come off through there because it's got corners in the way. So the only way we're going to be able to get these buttons is to take this panel off. It's a little bit nerve-wracking because I don't want to ruin it. What's the best way of going about this then? There isn't going to be a best way, is there? I'm a bit worried about this, if I'm honest. Here we go. It's got some sort of sticky on the back. So it seems originally the buttons and the frame holding them would have been one piece, that sort of cream-coloured 1980s plastic, but it's gone brittle over the years and crumbled, so the buttons are no longer attached to the frame. So I'm going to leave what I've got in place and just add a couple of buttons from the other unit, which is in the same condition, slightly crumbling. You can see little bits of broken plastic on my bench there. Alright, so I've managed to get 2 off the other meter, the broken one. Not the best design, Solartron. Come on, you can do better than this, can't you? Your meters are excellent, however, your button design leaves a lot to be desired. Now, am I going to be able to... do you know what? As long as they work, does it matter? Worst comes to the worst, we'll have to add a bit more adhesion on this. But we'll see how it goes. I'm going to leave the LEDs for now, and I'm going to come back to them another time because I've got to do more on this machine anyway, because I've still got to sort this switch out. One more thing I do want to do before I put the lid on is I just want to check it. I want to power it up. I just want to check if there is any sign of arcing from this switch. Now I've removed my bit of paper and I've just put a bit of tape around the bottom of it, just for now, very temporary, because I'm not going to be using this meter yet anyway until I've done the LEDs and fixed this properly. I've got to sort out something with the mounting points down here because they are both broken off. Again, 1980s plastic that's just crumbled. We can sort that out. I'm still not 100% sure if that is just where it's been worked on or where it was arcing. Somebody did suggest to me that the arcing may not necessarily have been that switch. It may have been because this live was not properly attached to the filter, because it was just like literally everything crumbled when I took it apart. Now the original sleeves have ceased to be, so I've just put some heat shrink on here just for a bit of added protection and to make it look a bit neater. Okay, so let's just pop it back together for now. Right, so just before I put the lid back on, I want to do a quick power up test and see, is it getting hot? What's it doing? Is it gonna spark, smoke? Let's find out. Where's the switch? There we go. Yes. Pass. All right. Okay. I didn't know what to expect. We've got something going on. Okay, we've got no LEDs, but we can kind of see what's going on there. All right, fantastic. Let's leave it on for a minute then, see if it gets hot. Let's have a look at the thermals. Oh, I need to charge my thermal camera. I've been using it too much. All right, but there's nothing major. I'm just looking underneath. Nothing's getting super hot. 40 on the heat sinks. Okay, been on for a few minutes now. And again, nothing really outrageous heat-wise. But more than that, I've not had any arcing, sparking. It's not doing anything odd. To be honest, it's a better result than I was hoping for. I didn't even know if it was going to do anything. So do my buttons work? So we're on DC volts, yeah. AC volts. Resistance. Oh, little click from one of the Cotto relays. Diode mode, okay. And we've got DC current. Seems to work. AC current. So my buttons work, that's good. Temperature. All right. Whoop, that's my pencil. Okay, so we've got, that'll be for the GPIB. Yep. If I go to resistance, does null work? Yep. Seems to work. Yep, high null. And digits, does digits work? Digits 5. Digits 6, yes. Okay, that is fantastic. So we can do digits 4, 5 or 6. Nice. Up and down arrows to go up and down the ranges. Yeah, okay. Well, that seems to work. And then we've got auto works. So all the buttons work, fantastic. Can't use that because that is an issue, so we won't worry about that. Right, let's put the lid back on as it's behaving at the moment. So you will know with the case, it looks much cleaner on the top, and that's because I've used the top of the better case. I've used the worst bottom because I knew I had to sand that bit out at the back for the IEC socket, but I've used the best top. So it does look cleaner. It looks quite nice actually with all the buttons in. It's not too bad. That digits one is still not sitting quite right, so I have to see if I can do something about that. It's just the plastic framework inside has just crumbled. So, all right, let's just see, out of interest, can we get it to measure anything? Not a scientific. I'm not going to worry about zeroing it or anything. I'm just looking to see at 1 volt does actually measure then. 2 volts. I mean, it's well under. I would expect a meter of this spec to be a little bit closer than that. So, oh yeah, okay. All right. I mean, it's not bad, but you'd expect this to be a little bit more. Yeah, it's a little bit more out than I would like it to be. Now, it could be that it just needs calibrating, which is fine. We can do that if necessary. And it looks like it is necessary. Yeah, the more you go up the volts, the more it's out. 9, 10. Yeah, 10's quite out. Yeah, okay. But the good news is it is measuring. It's actually doing more than I thought it would do. 100 millivolts, yeah, it will do. 10 millivolts, yeah. 1 millivolt, it does. 0.1, yeah. Yeah. 0.01, yeah, kinda. All right, so on the plus side, it is measuring. It's not measuring accurately, but that might be just some calibration that needs doing. It's doing a lot more than I thought it would be doing. There doesn't seem to be any of this arcing, like nothing. I checked the temperature multiple times before I put the cover back on, and nothing was getting particularly hot. There was no signs of arcing, no smoke, no nothing that there shouldn't be. It's behaving itself. So the main issues to rectify next time are going to be the LEDs, so we can actually see the screen a bit better, and we're going to see if we can align this button a little bit better. I mean, it's not bad, but it'd be nice if it sat square. So we've got that to look at, LEDs, and that front back switch inside needs mounting properly or something doing with it, but at the moment it seems to be behaving. Good progress on this project. So that seems a good place to pause for the end of part 1 of this video. So I'm happy that I've got the meter up and running. There's nothing really massively wrong with it, but it is going to need a few bits and bobs doing before I can use it properly. So obviously I've got the LEDs to do on the front panel so we can see the screen properly, and I've also got to tackle that front back switch which has come off its mountings, which I either need to replace or modify or something it, so it's less likely to cause me problems down the line. I'm also gonna revisit the buttons on the front panel. They're not absolutely perfect. The problem is they came on a plastic frame originally, which has crumbled away over the years, you know, 1980s plastic and all that. And on both the units I've got, a lot of the buttons have come off and they're just floating around inside the unit. So it does work, it's just that they don't sit quite square, so it's just slightly offensive to my OCD, but it does actually work. So obviously I've got calibration of the meter to do as well, but that shouldn't be too difficult on this one. So I hope you'll join me again for part 2 at some point when I get 5 minutes to finish the project. So I hope you've enjoyed today's video, and as always, massive thanks to everyone for watching, sharing, liking and subscribing, and big thanks to all my YouTube and Patreon members. Don't forget you can support me on Patreon and buy me a coffee, and that helps to support the channel and keeps me making more videos. I'll be back soon with another tech related video, but in the meantime, take care and I'll see you on the next one.